is Vinny Sandhu from IWSA headquarters. A warm welcome and a very good evening to one and all present today for the talk. Thank you all for being here to encourage us. With immense pleasure, I would like to inform you all that this is our 30th MEP, that is Member Enrichment Program by Learning Garden Initiatives of IWSA. This program was started in 2018 under the guidance of Mrs. Vijaya Chakravarti ma'am, a well-known landscaper and ecologist. Very few of us knew about plants, but in a span of just 2 years, most of us have become experts in plants. And I am still in the initial stages of learning. Vijaya ma'am has inspired us all to learn and grow with our learning garden. Thank you, ma'am. Dear participants, we used to have MEP every month since its birth in 2018, but since the lockdown, we have it every week or thrice a week. All the great ladies are more active and energetic as ever. Almost every Wednesday, this platform is decorated by people in their specialized fields from all over India. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I welcome you all for the 30th talk. Now, it's the time to call upon our past president, Board of Trustee, convener of Science Awareness Committee, senior scientist in technical physics, and prototype engineering division of BRC. This was a small introduction of Dr. Devaki Ramanathan, ma'am. Ma'am will welcome today's esteemed gathering and highlight us about IWSA and its science lecture series. I request Devaki ma'am to take over. Please, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vinny, for the small introduction. And hello, everybody. Good evening to all, and welcome you all. I'm not going to talk about IFSA per se because we are all members of IFSA and we know enough of IFSA. But this is the 30th Wednesday webinar of MEP of the Learning Garden group of IFSA. So I will briefly, therefore, summarize the history of the Learning Garden project, which is relatively new and flourishing at IFSA. Just 2 years back, this project was initiated in our campus at IFSA headquarters. Within the limited space available in our compound, we have by now recreated the entire variance in nature with sections of different sensory species, desert species, traditional religious plants, butterfly section, a wetland section, medicinal plants, and arboretum, etc., etc. The whole available space has been developed as an open air science laboratory, and all nature's bounty has been grown maybe only as samples, but they are all well classified and documented and labeled, all under the guidance of our landscaper member, as Vinny said, Madam Vijaya Chakravarti, whom we call as the walking encyclopedia of plants among us. For the novice, for urban children and students, and even seniors, this garden can provide an educational nature walkathon. Before the pandemic, we have had a number of visitors from schools and colleges coming in batches for guided tour of our garden. Although only 2 years in inception, the enthusiasm and energy shown by all our volunteers has reflected in the rich flora that has been created and systematically exhibited. We have even developed a vegetable garden recently at one end of the campus, and the produce is given to the hostel mess for consumption. We are now working to make our garden tour more effective, say after the pandemic, and all inclusive with posters in Braille and make it educative for even the differently able students and visitors. Now, coming back to the Wednesday webinars of the MEP, MEP means Member Enrichment Program, which was started during the pandemic times using Google Meet to effectively use the lockdown period for sharing and exchanging information on plants, gardens, plant growing techniques, soil and vegetation, enrichment processes, all matters associated with flora, which will augment the knowledge of all of us. These webinars are open to all our members, including the branches and our students. And we have had very interesting webinars so far. Today's webinar is the 30th one. Many of the previous talks have been uploaded in IBSA's YouTube channel for the benefit of those who could not attend the webinars. The speaker today is the well-known botanist, Dr. Dhanashree Patil from Bengurla, Maharashtra. And the topic is Sindhu Garg wetlands. Dr. Dhanashree is our IBSA member from Kolhapur. So she will be introduced. Sindhugarh is the western coastal district in the Konkan region of Maharashtra, a tourism district, and is one of the 11 ecologically critical habits of India. Since 2011, I read this in the Google, that UNDP partners with Ministry of Environment and Forests and Government of Maharashtra to work on the conservation of the enormous wealth of this coastal region. Dr. Dhanashree is going to talk on her personal experiences on the flora and fauna of this region. It's an exciting topic, and we all look forward for her talk. Now, thank you, and over to Ms. Tripta, I think, for introducing the speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Devki ma'am. Thanks a lot. Now is the time for our speaker's introduction, Dr. Dhanashree Saigar Patil. Friends, ma'am's biodata is so grand that I have no words to express. Frankly speaking, friends, ma'am's degrees and work is really amazing. I will be highlighting very few of them, otherwise we will not be having much time for her talk. I will just give you highlight the few points. Ma'am did her MSc Botany and then MPhil in psychological aspects on soybean. Later, ma'am did her PhD in biopesticides. She has 25 years teaching experience for undergraduate college students. Ma'am has patent registered for Acacia coccinea as biopesticides. Madam Dhanashree is ex-convener of IWSA Kolhapur branch. Ma'am was also the president of Gardens Club Kolhapur. Ma'am received Vanashiri Puraskar from Government of Maharashtra. She is the member of Sindhudurg Wetland Committee, which comes under District Collector of Sindhudurg. Dr. Dhanashree ma'am have 11 national and international research papers publications under her. Madam is the founder member of Bharatiya Jal Sanskriti Mandal and Kolhapur Bonsai Club. Ma'am has presented her paper presentations overseas also, US American Horticulture Society's Gardening Symposium, World Bonsai Convention in China and Japan. She has organized 45 workshops and trainings about creative gardening skills. Dhanashree ma'am has 22 full pages of her degrees and works. I know I did not do justice by reading very few ones, but we want to hear from ma'am, and I know her today's talk will speak about her work too. Dear participants, I request you all that in case you are not able to see the presentation on your screen, please click on the participants icon and then on the icon where it shows speaker's name with presenting. And in case not able to hear the speaker, as this might be a problem at your end, you may disconnect and rejoin the meeting. I also request you all to keep the mics and cameras off from your side while the program is going on. We will be very thankful to you all. Before I hand over to ma'am, I have a request to all the participants to pen down your questions and queries in the chat box, which will be answered by ma'am after her talk. So now I hand over the mic and stage to ma'am. Dhanashri ma'am, you're welcome, and you may please start your presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Devki ma'am. And I'm very happy to see you all, to hear my speech about the wetland. So I always consider USA is our booster or confidence building organization, because we are from smaller towns and our seniors. Actually, I would like to dedicate this lecture to founder member of USA, Dr. Leela Bhosle madam. Many of the senior people must be knowing her. She has a grand work done about the mangrove for the world. She is also called as a mother of mangroves. So it is a international level work, and she started USA Kolhapur branch in Kolhapur, and it was really a good opportunity for us to learn about the Women Scientists Association and how you people are confidently and very passionately doing things about the science. Many members of BRC and all, Bakhtar Majan madam, as well as Sudha madam, Devki madam, all of them, they were in Kolhapur also. And it was a good opportunity for many young girl scientists also. They still keep on telling us, they still remember that conference. And it was great opportunity to see all the women scientists under one roof of that biodiversity conservation. It was really pleasing event, and with the grace and blessings of all of you, it was a successful from our side also. So basically my area of research is biopesticide. I have also done physiological aspects about the soybean, because my specialization was plant protection. Though we are teaching to the undergraduate student, I always believe that we have a vast scope to work at the ground level, and we can involve our students to understand the flora, local flora and fauna from this area. After working in Kolhapur for 22 years, I was transferred to Vengurla, which I think consider as an opportunity to learn the wetlands. Somebody came and asked me to work about the wetlands, because they were in need of a resource person from botany who knows about the flora and fauna. So I am not a taxonomist basically, but I accepted the challenge. There was nobody to assist from Vengurla. 10 wetlands from Vengurla were given to me from the Tehsildar office. The maps were provided, and they asked us to visit these sites and do the documentation of flora, fauna, as well as whether any violations going on. And one wetland conference I had done in 2002 under guidance of my guide, present USA convener, Dr. Niranjana Chavan. She is also working very nice with the mangroves as well as the wetlands. So I was having a vague background about it, but to go with the specification, I took the assistance here. The committee was formed by the district collector, and that is also good thing. Otherwise, these people, administrative people, they are not interested in such a specific documentation. Very interesting experiments we came across. The Talatis were not ready to accept that they are wetlands, because most of the wetlands here, they are paddy fields also, and they are not governed by, they are not under government always, but they are having the personal farmers also as a owner. So many such challenges were there, but it was really a great fun, and I myself, along with my students, learned a lot about the flora and fauna. So this is really a good opportunity. I would like to share the slides. I'm trying to share it. Wait. Let me know whether my slides are visible, because there are so many pictures I have got, as madam just informed that she has learned about the UNDP projects. Really, UNDP is doing wonderful job here. It is working about the olive redlet turtles, which are getting rare, and involving the communities is the major part. And I think mangrove cell under forest department, as well as Mumbai mangrove cell, as well as is the slide visible, ma'am? Okay. So let's talk about the Sindhudurg wetlands now. About aquatic flora and fauna, we still have to do a lot of work, and there is still, I think, a very vast scope to work with the wetlands. Usually the wetlands are not considered so much important. I would like to say Sindhudurg is a land of wetlands, because so much heavy rains come, but due to the sandy and laterite rock as well as sandy soil, the water is not retained in the soil. So after rainy season, there are again crisis of water scarcity. So wetlands can be the best things to maintain the underground water table, because most of the populations here, they have to depend upon the well water for the water requirements also. So we will see the role of wetlands. So this is the message. We usually, Shivaji University Botany Department, our honorable guide, Dr. Niranjana Chavan, Dr. Leela Bhosle. So we have a trend of celebrating 2nd February as an International Wetland Day. And through that, I had some basic knowledge about the wetlands. So we started learning and working over that. But this was the great opportunity. We were visiting the fields and understanding the actual flora, fauna, and recording them was a challenge. And I think we were successful in that. 10 wetlands, visiting the wetlands was not that much easy. The transportation facilities and everything was a challenge. Though we covered that, and very enthusiastically, my students, 5 of my students, they supported me. And now everybody in Vengurla, they are knowing the importance of wetlands. We were definitely successful in popularizing the mangroves as well as the wetlands. Already UNDP has taken initiative and doing a lot of work about the mangroves here, but wetlands still have to take into consideration by government. So district collector was very much positive about it, I have to say, though they are having certain limitations, because local people as well as communities, they have a fear in mind. When the wetlands will be declared as a wetlands, they will not be able to develop any construction or anything else. So many such challenges were there, problems were there. So as I said, Sindhudurg district is a land of wetlands with unique and rare biodiversity. So it is a hotspot of biodiversity. We are knowing it is connected with the Western Ghats, which is one of the hotspot of biodiversity. And when I came here and start observing the ferns and many ground orchids, medicinal plants in this area, they are enlisted in the ISBN list as an endangered and rare plant, which were in the backyards of the students. But they were unaware of that importance of those plants. For example, Phyllanthus is there, which cures the hepatitis B very well. People have taken patent about it. It is plentifully available here in the backyards, but people are not aware of it. So they may consider it as a bid, and due to some violations, it may vanish. So that care, I always, when Honorable Vice Chancellor was here, he is fortunately from the land of Konkan. So I asked them that the actual research centers, they should be decentralized towards the Konkan. Mumbai University is planning to do that, because these students, they are having the basic ground level knowledge about the plants, flora, fauna, what we say. They just need the proper guidance. Wetlands in Konkan nourish thousands of rare plant species, and I experienced that, because we know that from Mumbai also, Kolhapur, Sangli, Satara, Solapur, we take the tours here for studying the the botanical excursions are carried out here. So to see the Silajnila, we usually used to come from Kolhapur. So you see, this is Silajnila, this is Osmunda, and so many other orchids and etc. Now here it is in the campus of my college. I'm very happy to see in them in plenty number. Okay, so many medicinal plants like Rauwolfia serpentina, Gloriosa superba, they are in the backyards. At every 5 feet, they are very easily available. So that is the beauty of Konkan, and scientific importance or botanical treasure that can be called as, which is having so many. Tinospora cordifolia, recently it is declared in COVID situations as the national medicinal plant. So it is plentifully available here, which we just see in the medical shops as well as Ayurveda shop. But the actual plants are plentifully available, and that scope is there. So all such rare plant species are located along the wetlands. So that is one of the major reason the wetland should be very well conserved. Sindhudurga Big Documentation Committee is established for documentation of wetland scientifically and systematically, and I think we have done 50% of the job. Still so much is to be done under this, but one, we could be able to publish a book, as well as some good things happen. People are taking, government people, they are taking into consideration about this. Status of wetland was understood with their restoration need, and future violations were considered. So as I told, some of the wetlands, they are the paddy fields. So definitely the agriculturist or the farmer, he will not allow to declare it as officially as a wetland. So they have a fear in mind that these wetlands can be grabbed by, or they may go to the government or something, some restrictions may come. So so many queries were asked by the local people. But government has given, and Mangrove Cell Foundation, Durga Thigde, one of the mangrove researcher, is working here under the UNDP for a UNDP project. So they are working with the livelihood. So wise development of wetlands was one of the aspects we discussed. So most of us must be knowing about the Ramsar Convention. So Ramsar Convention was taught by us, by Dr. Sawan Madam as well as Bhosle Madam. So it was signed by India in 1982. In India, 26 Ramsar sites are recorded, which have international status, and they are source of sustainable ecotourism. So ecotourism should be also very carefully done. Otherwise, again, lot of plastic garbage and so many things, such challenges are there, which can play major role in socio-economical development of rural as well as urban areas. Indian Council 15A strongly recommend the conservation of wetlands as a prime duty of every Indian. So it is our duty to conserve the wetlands. It is mentioned in 15A. ISRO has recorded 23,046 wetlands in Atlas of Wetlands. Sindhudurg has 373 wetlands on record, but we were given the data of 57 only. Again, there is a debate whether the mangroves should be considered under wetlands or not. So we can see in this picture, wetland is a dynamic ecosystem. So phytoplanktons, producers are there, aquatic algae, as well as many aquatic plants upon which the fishes survive. Many zooplanktons are there in the benthic region. Some herbivore birds are there like ducks and so many species. We recorded 250 birds in various wetlands of Sindhudurg. Here I have considered only about the Vengurla because the data is very vast. Sea ducks are there, many fishes are there. So this is the picture of the dynamic ecosystem. Definitely the wetland, it is a interlinking between terrestrial as well as aquatic, and therefore flora and fauna that is in this zone is rare and different. So this is very interesting picture with which we can see smaller wetlands. Ramsar Convention and everything they have mentioned, they have specification of 1000 kilometer area, and above that they will be considered as a wetland. But I think, or we realize, that smaller wetlands are also very important, because underground they are connected in this way with one another, and their percolations, they enrich the larger wetlands. So all small wetlands also should be conserved, and we observe there are the chances or threats, we can say, that uh, these marshy places, if they are dumped, they can be converted into very good plots for constructions of buildings. So that threat is there, what we observe, because smaller wetlands usually they are ignored, and sometimes they look like a messy places on which the mosquitoes will come, and all such threats are there in the minds of people also. But the wetlands are very important, otherwise we are facing the water problems. And that if the wetlands are closed or if minimized, in Kolhapur also 36 wetlands were there, very big wetlands, but unfortunately now only 5 are existing. So in Kolhapur also, we were under Bharatiya Jala Sanskriti Mandal, we have documented, and we have worked at the ground level through the NGOs. IUSA was also many times a part of it, that such awareness pressure should be built on the municipal corporations, and the awareness is very important. Otherwise people think wetland as the dumping places also. So this picture, or here, these are the points. High net productivity. It is having it is having a very good productivity, we can say. Abundant and diverse wildlife. Water quality improvement, they are the filtration, they are doing the job of water filtration also. The water is filtered and goes underground, and through the bores and wells we can get the good water quality for drinking purpose as well as other utility purposes. Flood and storm protection. So after tsunami, I think government has taken very good initiative to about the mangrove conservation, because they are the natural binders, natural protectors. Recently, Kolhapur people and Sangli, these districts, they suffered a lot through the floods. If the wetlands are closed, uh, wetlands will vanish, then definitely the water will come out of the particular limits, and we will have to face the floods also. So directly, number of wetlands can be correlated with the flood situation. Wetlands bordering this is the wetland tributary. One picture is shown here. So uh, we are knowing swamps, marshes. So the definition was told to us that wetland is the area where one can dip the feet but cannot swim. So like that, and these plants, these areas, they are the transitional zones between the well-drained uplands and permanently flooded deep water habitats. So big lakes, their borders or buffer zones, what we say, they can be called as a wetlands. So actual lake with a deep depth, with a larger or a bigger depth cannot be called as a wetland, but the borders, the buffer zones can be mentioned as the wetlands. And flora and fauna is definitely rare and different in these areas. So this is a very nice picture. All these pictures I have taken from the net. Wetlands develop in areas where the water table is at or near the surface. So and the underground percolations through the gravels are shown. Crevice rocks, they help to filter. This groundwater table is properly filtered. The land is covered with the greenery also. So this is the picture. So this is one more good picture where we can see the underground scenario about the water, about the wetlands. So wetlands are identified by field and remote investigation that examine 3 criteria. Usually what happens, what we observe, in rainy days we can locate them very well, but as they are very shallow, in summer days or after October, they dry up. So most of the talatis, they told us that this is not a wetland. There is no water here. So out of 10 wetlands from Bengurle, 6 were recorded as a no wetlands by the talatis. But the Nayab Tahsildar, she was very smart, and usually I observed the women, they are having much concern about all these natural or nature issues also. She scolded them and sent us to the sites with them, and we shown them that these are the wetlands, because that is not their mistake. These common people or these people, they consider they are not knowing what are the wetland criteria. So the hydric soil should be checked. If a soil is picked up, a clump of soil, when it is showing the wet area or the wet texture, what we say, the moisture in it, those are those should be considered as a wetlands. Now afterwards, we enlisted the wetland floral species as well as fauna. Some plant species are there which we considered as a wetland indicators. If those plants are observed in that area, definitely that can be the wetland area. So wetland vegetation is, so we can see here, if we dig superficially also, we can see the moisture is in their area. And this is the with lotus, this is the regular wetland, we can see very easily. Structural and physiological adaptation of wetland plants. In schools also, we have studied that a lot of erenchymatous tissue is there to give the buoyancy. The leaves are provided with the erenchyma, but pressed trunks are there, pneumatophores are there in the mangroves for breathing, because they cannot breathe as salt and waterlogged conditions are there. Protective barriers against excessively saline surroundings, or the ability to secrete excess salt. So such adaptations, what we call as hydrophytes, halophytes in the mangrove area, they are the adaptations in the wetland plants. So therefore, these plants are the special plants or different than the other plants. And that's why they are rare and they are much important, because most of the fish species, they are depending on this detritus type of ecosystem. Rapid or multiple stem growth is seen here. Biochemical pathways that can be used under anaerobic conditions. So lot of scope is there to study the physiological aspects, the ecological aspects, as well as the geographical, biogeographical aspects in this area of wetlands. Changes in growth form that maximize the amount of surface area exposed to air. So all these aspects, then prolonged seed viability. We must be knowing that lotus is, we can see, the best indicator of such a good wetlands, healthy wetlands. And the seeds of lotus, as well as the propagating organs underground, they can survive for hundreds of years. Therefore, we see it in the pictures of our goddesses also. That may be one of the reason. Or makhnis are eaten, or lotus seeds are eaten, so that good skin as well as viability or long life, such things are correlated with water. So prolonged seed viability is one of the aspect which is good, and that gene bank is important to conserve for this also. So many such livelihood projects can be developed along with by considering these wetland species. Seed germination under low oxygen concentration. So that's why the wetland plants are important, because even if the oxygen concentration is lower, they can germinate. They are adapted for such things. Production of buoyant seeds and seedlings. So all these are the aspects to be considered as the characters of wetland plant adaptation. Hydrophytic plants as a wetland indicator. So we have made a big list of plants which can be considered as a wetland indicators. We can see the chart afterwards, or I can send the I'm going to send a copy to the head office also. So we have published a book. Plants are categorized according to their probability of offering wetland soil. So upland, facultative upland, facultative the position, as well as adaptations. According to that, these are the plants which are categorized, which are the wetland indicators. An area meets the wetland plants criteria for the jurisdictional wetland. So yes. Now this is a very interesting picture which shows the wetland functions. So contaminants and sediments are filtered through the wetlands because that is the layering of the soil, mud, as well as gravels, as well as very important bacteria are associated with the wetlands. Saturated pits are stored here. Some plants like Eichhornia also there, such a aquatic plants, they are having potential to absorb the toxic material. Like Eichhornia is one of the example, but unfortunately it has become a weed all over India or all over world, we can say now. But that is good plants. The plants are having such a qualities of water filtration. And when it goes naturally, it becomes cleaner, and through the outflows as well as underground, it can be stored in the pure form. So that is one of the most important uh, function of a wetland we can see. So this is also one very good chart, economic values of services provided by the world's ecosystem. So ecosystem types are given. You can see estuaries 22,832 hectare per year. In dollars they have given. So such a productivity they have. Swamps are there. Coastal seagrasses, algae beds, they are included. Tidal marsh, mangroves, because most of the fish species, coastal areas, their economy depends upon the fishes. So that markets indirectly depends upon the wetlands as well as mangrove zones, because all these fishes, they lay their eggs in these marshy areas, lakes and rivers, coral reefs, tropical forest, coastal continental shelf, temperate boreal forests are given, and open ocean. You can see estuaries, swamps, they are having the maximum uh, productivity, and they are very important economically also. So I said the mangrove ecosystem is, it also comes under the wetland, though it is a question of debate, we can say. A unique, spatial and vulnerable ecosystem providing by virtue of their existence, biomass and productivity. So very good, well established detritus food chains are here, which in which the fishes, they lay egg, and they are the safest zones for the many birds. Bird species are attracted towards it. They get their feeds. Many crabs are there. So it is very interesting. In Vengurla we have found the pan manzar, what is it, otters are found. So many such a rare species are seen, and uh, the base is this mangrove ecosystem. Fishery goods and services, as well as contributing to the protection of coastline and being particularly relevant in terms of mitigation of the effect of climate change and food security for local communities. So you can see if the fish number, recently the bioluminescence is going on in this area, and when those planktons come, usually the number of fishes or fish productivity is reduced. So immediately the market comes down, and on these financial aspects, they depend on these ecosystem. So that is very interesting to understand and very serious to consider, and protected very sustainably and carefully scientifically. Management and restoration of mangrove ecosystem is very important. These forested wetlands, now recently government has declared mangroves under the forest department. So mangrove cell is very good, very nicely working in this area. So every time we should not blame the government also. Many good things are also happening. There should be a interlinking between the scientists, academicians, government people, as well as communities. And Vengurla, I think it is very good example for that. These coastal areas, they are doing very good job. Many aspects, they are very nicely implemented here. So nursery habitats for fishes and crustaceans. So these are about the mangrove zones. Mangrove act as a form of natural coastal defense, reducing erosion, attenuating waves. So tsunamis are controlled, can be easily controlled with the mangroves. We cannot substitute mangroves with any other concrete material or everything. So a lot the world has experienced that through the tsunamis, even reducing the height of the storm surges. So it also controls these storms. Mangrove soils are highly effective carbon sinks, sequestering vast amounts of carbon over millennia. So they are the carbon sinks. So minimizing the carbon dioxide, minimizing the pollution is one of the big role mangrove ecosystems are doing. So mangrove can play an important role in reducing vulnerability to natural hazards and increasing resilience to climate change impact. So such important these ecosystems are. So coming to the Sindhudurg, this is a picture of all states, and we can see ecosystem benefits. So inventory here. So this table is scattered. So this is about the Sindhudurg, and creeks are there, sand, beaches, then river streams, tank ponds are shown. Mangroves and reservoirs, they are 4% reservoirs are there, and mangrove ecosystems are 7%. So it shouldn't get minimized. Fortunately, Dr. Vasudevan of Mangrove Cell, he was successful to increase the mangrove cultivation in this Sindhudurg district. So such things happen. So actual story of the wetland committee started with this Dhamapur. Mr. Sachin Desai has he is running one University of Life, NGO University of Life, under which he is training the students without going to the school. So they found that construction was done by TWD as a skywalk in this Dhamapur. Dhamapur is a very beautiful big wetland which is guarded with a lot of greenery and mountains. And the pillars were constructed, some 70 pillars were constructed by the PWD without permission of forest department, or the local people's needs were not considered. Actually, it was a foolishness to spend to put the concrete in such a beautiful wetland, which was a drinking water source of the two villages nearby. So these people, they gathered together, they complained to the collector, and very fortunately, with the help of NGT, the green tribunals, uh, they got a success, and 70 lakh rupees fine was told to the PWD, and the construction was stopped. So we can do, when we join hands, definitely we can do a lot. Pressure should be created. Again, after these case also, somebody was building one small hotel over there, but when they were told carefully with all this data and everything, they stopped their construction. But this was a very big fight against the PWD, which was won by wetland committee, we can say, and the story started from here. Now after that, so many things happened, and a lot of awareness, so many articles are written. So I'm very happy to show this, that we were 2 years back, we organized one Wetland Day celebration and national conference about the wetland restoration, and mangrove festival was organized in Vengurle. My college, as well as Indian Women Scientists Association Kolhapur branch, was co-partner. Bharatiya Jala Sanskriti Mandal was there, and we successfully invited Deepak Kesarkar sir, who was then Palak Mantri. So he supported it very well, and we were successful in creating awareness, as well as boosting the confidence of the women fishermen about the mangrove conservation. So it was a 2nd February 2017. So it was a very nice conference. All USA member from Kolhapur, they supported. So we always organize such a small workshops as well as visits to the wetlands, and many visitors, these are the visitor team from Mumbai, which is some of them, they are part of our wetland committee also. And on 4th November, students presented He is Mr. Honorable Ashraf from Delhi. He is member of National Wetland Restoration Committee, and he took everything very seriously. School student as well as our college student, they gave letters about the wetland conservation and studies, etc. And we got very good response. Students were school students as well as college students were involved. These are the pictures of the conference we organized. We gave the demonstrations about the creative gardening skills. These are the USA members, Dr. Niranjana Chavan, Kalpana Sawant, Neeta Shinde. So my team, as I mentioned in the beginning also, we have a very big women group in Kolhapur who have done the gardening course. And through the gardening, we have involved them in all these scientific activities. Now they are very smart and confident about teaching the gardening skills as well as so many other aspects. Neetaji gives the demonstration of hibiscus uh, drink, which is substitute for we say that which is substitute for Pepsi and colas, etc. So with reaching to the communities is possible through this way. So a good publicity was given. You can see in the picture Dr. Niranjana Sawan, Deepak Kesarkar sir, Balakrishna Gaude sir, who is a taxonomist from Kankauli College, and he helped us in identification of all the plants, because taxonomy is not an easy branch that needs the passionate work and very sincere or a deep knowledge about the plants. Then a lot of publicity was given through the conference. So this is a brave women group, all of you must have seen. UNDP has supported them, and our college, Dr. Niranjana Chavan, told us to train them to speak English. So my English department colleagues, they trained them. We conducted 3 months course, which was financially supported by Mangrove Cell Mumbai. And it was a pleasure to train them. Already they are very smart and very courageous women. See, you can see in this picture, they row the boat. So you all have to come to Vengurla to hear the story of their success. So she's Dr. Niranjana Chavan, my guide and USA convener. So we have enjoyed many times these boat rides, and very sincerely, even if the government is providing them the diesel engine, they are not ready. These women, they salute to them, and they are definitely doing very good job. Per person 200 they cost. For students, again they give concession 100 rupees, and they are showing. You can we got very much surprised to see they pronounce and identify all the bird species as well as flora or mangroves along Rhizophora, Avicennia, all these mangrove names they fluently tell to the tourists and told about the importance. So Sonarchia alba is recently declared as a national mangrove again. So many trainings are given to Shweta Hule and her team to identify the mangrove and about the mangrove conservation. So they have become popular, and they are felicitated by women also. In our conference also we felicitate them. So this is our data about the 10 wetlands. So we were provided with the charts or maps given by Tahsildar office. So Nishan Talav, Reddy Lake, Adeli Dharan, Momdodichi Wadi, Varachi Kher, Huda, Ban, Tiroda Creek, again Momdodichi Wadi, and Martale. So it was a very interesting challenge. With the help of mobiles, we using the GPS and other an app mapping, etc. In the beginning it was difficult for us, but the students are smarter in this. So we had to found the longitude latitude for confirmation of the site. Then number of rare species were recorded. This is the primary data we collected. The number is less. Afterwards, in second and third visit we got it. So by using this an app, we can take a picture, date, longitude, latitude very well. So these are the wetlands we studied and the data we collected. So such a maps were given. This is the Nishan Talav map. So you can see here the many satbaras, what we say, many numbers are given. So most of these, they are the agricultural land, and this is the actually wetland. So this also comes under the buffer zone. So buffer zone is also important, and some restriction should be there about the development, what we say about the development while developing the wetland. Now Nishant Talab, this is a Nishant Talab. So for now recently the work about its deepening is going on, so that the water holding capacity should increase, because this gives the drinking water. This is a drinking water supply to Vengurla. Sure. So care should be taken about this conservation. This is the list of plants which are found or which are recorded with their common name, family, habit, status, whether it is a native, farmed, or whether it is a rare, etc. So everything all was very nicely found, and I think I realized that this is the real way of teaching the botany on site. Otherwise, by showing the picture and through the books, it is not the actual learning. The students now, they are invited as expertise by the mangrove cell also, and from the other colleges also. So such a nice confidence they develop, my students develop within themselves. Just actual site visit was very important. So this is one of the wetland. I will show the slides. So again, every wetland, it is having its own speciality. You can see this is along this Wuda Lake, some mining work is also going on. So that can be the, now temporarily the mining is stopped by the government, but in future again it may start. So these wetlands, we found some of the pollutants, some foam like structures, hydrilla was there, which is an indicator of pollution, we can say. Some of the wetlands like this barn, they are the rice or paddy fields. Along these buffer zones, it is there are so many birds and butterflies recorded, but this is the barn. So some of the wetlands, they are the paddy fields. This is the Tiroda Creek. So there was again a variety within the various wetlands of Vengurla. So this is the creek. So the species found here, they were the halophytes as well as some aquatic plants. These are very shallow water ecosystems or wetlands where the lot of lotus plants were there, and so many aquatic plants were found. And again, many birds they visit too. So such a grasses. This is the curcuma species, which is commonly found here. Raulfinia serpentina, Marselia, and it's, you can see here the sporophytes are there. So this is Phyllanthus I was talking about. Phyllanthus is a very good medicine against the hepatitis B, and it has a patented also. Such a rare species are there. So we can see the local communities have to depend upon Kamlevir is there. This is a big wetland which is used by the local people for fishing purpose also. Fishing is okay, but pollution should be avoided or further violations should be stopped. And now as it is considered a wetland, they have to follow the rules and regulations given by the collector, district collector. So this is the Adeli Dam. So some are the man-made, some are natural wetlands which were studied. These are the list of the plants. Again, you can see the Phyllanthus species. Many good ferns are there. Some grasses are there. So many such a plants were recorded. You can see Martale Tiroda Creek, very huge and big mangroves are there. Hope they will not get destroyed, and they are the hub for so many fishes. So these are the birds invited. Many projects are also going on. These are the mangrove associate plants. This is Clerodendron. This is one thorny. I'm not remembering the name now. So Carmons are there. So this is white species. In nearby, the wetland water comes in nearby coconut fields also. So this is my students' team. They are doing very well. Afterwards, some of them, they go for the chemistry, MSc chemistry also. But they are now very much confident, and they learned a lot. They helped a lot to collector office also through their presentations. They are not having laptops or such a facilities, but with their mobiles, they typed all these tables and helped me a lot. So I was very happy to see this. So he's Dr. Ashraf from Delhi. Confidently, they presented in front of him also. So our college is doing so many such a things. So all these treats, they are here also. Plastic, every year we collect it. We train the women self-help groups about the composting and plastic minimization. So many such efforts are done. Recently through our NSS and Women Development Cell, we distributed the cloth bag so that the plastic should not be thrown in the wetlands. Vanrai bandaras are constructed by NSS students, and such a bandara, if they are constructed properly by considering the elevations and proper heights, etc., they maintain the wetland water or water tables around the wells also. So these are the repetitions, or uh, I will run these slides. This is again a Tirudakri. So many bird species are found and so many visitors are found. This is a wetland from Vengurla, which is not actually considered under the list given by the district collector. We think such many wetlands are there in Konkan, though they are smaller. Many birds, they visit to these wetlands, so they also should be conserved. So recently Palghar people were trained by our committee members, and Palghar, one of the villages near Palghar, they have declared the villagers declared their lake as a wetland. They took the initiative. So such a awareness is very important, which was Afroz Muhammad. His visit was popularized through many papers. This is my article about the importance. So this is a visit, and Forest Department has supported very well, and this awareness will definitely help to conserve the wetlands, I think. So Dhamapur story started with the development of this Sindhudurg Wetland Committee, under which we have published one book also. So this is about the wetlands. And I think in the conference we got some inputs also, and we can develop the projects to conserve the. So I would like to request IWSA senior members to develop a project, and for further, or because this is a very small part of work, I think a lot of things we still have to do about its soil, about the phytoplanktons as well as microflora and fauna. So a lot of work has to be done. This COVID has stopped the things a bit, but still my students are there working very nicely. The next batches will come and they will also get awareness about it. I think the time is up, and this is what I wanted to tell you all. uh, you can ask if any queries.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.